Okay, this is it. This is the end of story time with Ophelia Immune, the story that I can give you, and then I hope everybody's going to give everybody else story time, and we can just keep the story time moving all around. This is it. Ophelia Immune, The Homing. The rally builds itself around the girls. The streets that radiate from the old wharf park fill with residents. Some are still hopeless, tortured shells, staring blankly into the burn piles. But around them, their excited friends and family encourage them to lighten up by fashioning party hats and throwing every single door wide open. Any door that is left is open. Some put chairs in the streets and are kicking back in them, shouting joyfully to everyone that they're not going to get chewed on today. Our flyers wave in their hands. Taking care of girls is part of their new freedom, but probably not the green ones. I pull my long sleeves further down and my new stolen hat brim lower. The girls from our household teach a little girl not from our household how to light the cooking barrels with long birchwood twigs. The flames draw revelers to them in even greater numbers, sipping from amber bottles, carrying picnic supplies, lounging with babies on hips. I remind the girls to be careful with the tips of their fishing poles, not to stab anyone in the eye while they teach them how to fish and eat. The new fisherwomen of Turrington can't be reckless. Several burly men waddle to the nearest wall and begin drilling for an electric line to use for a sound system. A weaselly little man tips his bowler hat to me as he props up a speaking podium that is plastered with flyers. Buy a wife and a life, support girls, not dirtbags. The fish are fine, don't sell your daughters for food. He'll just sell buttered fish instead of selling girls, with tiny lemon wedges, barely molded. Volunteers build a pile of chopped wood for cooking instead of cremating. A wiry grandmother climbs onto one of the large park oaks with a huge plank with 2 ropes as a swing. Almost everyone wears an orange armband. "The fish are ready! The fish are ready!" the girls call from underneath their tall, self-styled burlap chef hats. The crowd swells and writhes and takes platters of fish to the front of the lines. Strangers hold up bags of potatoes and onions. Someone has collected wild mushrooms. A rich lady reveals that she's been keeping chickens on the roof of her high-rise and that she'll donate all of her eggs to today's feast and will sell them half off to the fisherwomen from here on out. She isn't as scared of the poor as she has been of the zombies. I am surprised to see Jim standing near the speaking podium. Bernice has also made her way up to the publicity stand and is speaking to him, gesturing to myself, to the other girls, and in the direction of the safe house. Jim shakes his head sadly and then excitedly at the appropriate parts of her story. He turns and introduces Bernice to his girlfriend, who I can see standing at the podium. They shake hands, and she nods enthusiastically. The microphone clicks on. A voice that everyone recognizes comes across the speakers. Jim's girlfriend is Melanie of Melanie in the Morning. Of course. She beams at the crowd. She raises her call, and the crowd ripples with ecstasy. The zombies are dead, and the people are reassured by their celebrity. I back up. I edge out of the crowd where I can watch without surprising someone with my tinge. All of the girls are expertly flipping fillets and instructing the lines of eaters where to stand. Melanie announces that she has a special guest, a speaker who has been sold as a girl and would like to tell her story. Bernice steps up proudly to the microphone. Jim cheers her on and dandles the toddler who is clinging to his neck and fiddling with the tips of his hair. He holds the hand of another small girl who is trying to grab at the electrical cords. He waves to me and winks with a thumbs up. I give him a grateful half-smile. In the back of the crowd, 2 parents rush forward and fall on their knees in front of a small girl with huge, curly red hair. A girl that could have been Swan's twin or sister. She throws her arms around her long-lost parents, and they swallow her up with love. She was finally happy. They're whole, and they had found each other, family, and food, and free. Children who look like Juliet, Hector, and Imogen crawl over the wood piles, handing the choicest pieces to their families who look like Mom and Dad and Cousin Judy, all of them pitching in to tend the fires. Gray tear after gray tear slide down my cheek. A concerned neighbor peers at my sagging posture. "Are you feeling ill from the cure spray? You look kind of green." I shake my head and back away, down an alley, towards the highway. And there he is. Even from behind, I can recognize Uncle Donnie, especially from behind. His pants barely stretch over his wide bum, and they don't reach to his ankles. He looks like he might be waiting in one of the outer circles of the burn barrel, thoughtfully listening to speakers. But I can see his right hand is draped low, beneath his waist, where he's using his long fingertips to diddle at the back pocket of a young girl, no older than 13, even if she is a driver. I remove one of my orange armbands and I walk up behind him. I reach around the side of his face and jam the band there while I hold him so tightly by the throat that he can't even moan. Backwards, I drag him out of the crowd and towards the bushy river banks outside of the park. The young girl he had been diddling sprints into the crowd without thinking twice. I throw him onto the weedy bank. "Hello, Uncle," I say, drooling onto his face, removing the orange rag from his mouth. He doesn't yell. He speaks softly with a giant smile. "Ophelia, I never was your uncle. You don't have to try so hard to get me alone. Let me show you what men can do for you." It is tempting to laugh at him, to take my time taunting him. I want to yell in his face and wound him and hear him beg. But my rage is too much. Everything he has ever done to Judy, to Hannah, to Mom, to Juliet, to Swan, to me, to every girl he's ever met wrapped their slimy chains around my knuckles. Without a high swing, I just lean over him and use both of my hands to place my axe blade between his teeth and push until the pressure makes him gag and then half scream. His tongue beneath the blade, his upper teeth above it, he chokes and his eyes widen. His voice is small and it ends quickly in a gurgle. I stop when I feel soil on my axe edge and his hands fall limp from my calves. The top half of his head slumps off to one side. His lower jaw stays with his fat neck. I'm not sorry, but it is disgusting. He doesn't deserve a burn burial. Nothing ceremonial to mark his passing. I leave him for someone else to find, hopefully to kick and rob of his clothes, and stoop to the river to wash my axe free of his filth. I sharpen the edge on a smooth stone. Now that I am done making bloody mud with Uncle Donnie, now that he's taken care of, I have nothing else to do. The girls, the fisherwomen, have each other. They have Jim and Melanie. They have bows and arrows and fishing poles and microphones. They have nurses and rallies and revolution. But my people are not here. I cannot get bashed or cured or kill any more humans. Kite and Swan are gone. Juliet is gone. I'm finished here. It's time for me to go home. I should be done. I don't stop at my apartment. All I need are my axe and my hammer, and I already have those. I let Juliet keep Imogen's barrettes. I don't want any coffee. The birds in the woods are singing to each other from patches of common autumn sunshine. They sit under umbrellas of lush orange, red, and purple leaves. All of the adolescent animals scurry awkwardly on their half-grown legs, tended by their nervous parents, making sure that they don't fall into my filthy zombie arms. My arms that are the only ones left. The corpses of the other zombies litter the ground every 100 yards, their heads still intact. They've fallen where they truly died. When the cure had reached them, they had breathed it in and tipped over, whole and unclubbed. I kneel beside one. I brush an auburn leaf from its cold green cheek. It is pitiful in defeat, a sad creature with no one left to hurt, quiet and meek. It no longer requires killing. It only requires forgiveness. Its eyes stare blankly up at the drifting clouds, as close as I'll ever get to dreaming. I close its lids so that it can be at peace, jaws finally still. It wasn't its fault that it had roamed the earth. I am envious of its rest. It will never suffer any more cold nights, no more waking nightmares. It doesn't have to freeze in a slight breeze. It no longer grows tired when it can't find water. It doesn't have to wander and wonder what its family thought of it. It isn't sad that it doesn't own any books or doesn't have anyone to talk to or cuddle. Halfway to Nasmith, the silent markers of zombie death cease to litter the ground. The airplanes have only spread the cure near the city. The rural parts of the country will get the cure later, after the urban centers are cleansed, and the counted allergies are worth it. I hope that Mom and Dad and even Hector are surviving the usual flow of marauding, late summer zombies. I wind my way to the farm by following the trail that once led me away from them, abandoned to exile of a filthy, evil creature that I loved and failed to take care of. I hadn't killed my precious damnation, at least not on purpose, not really. So I couldn't really blame my family for not taking care of us either, for not knowing, for not doing better. Sisters, daughters, neighbors can only be killed so many times by one person before they're too tired to kill any more, and then giving peace is a derelict duty left to those who haven't known its name, responsibility left to the next person down the road. But nobody on any of the roads has ever finished me, has taken care of me totally, not even the cure. When will I find my real luck? I can only ever take care of myself. I creep onto my family's land by wading up the stream, the shores where I was bitten, the water where my youngest sister had died for the first time, the last place I'd been alive, as good a place as any. I drag my feet, my ankles only too, no others pacing with me. When I lift my eyes, I see the slanted roof of the house first, over the edge of the bank. It is wearing fresh shingles and trimmings. I can see where the recent tar has dripped through the cracks to seal out the rain. I have cleaned those gutters once. There was a new peak, a new stilted barn. It is slathered with red paint. Dried cut hay pokes out of its white-bordered windows. The smell of cows and chickens drifts from the stilted hutch. The rooster calls to me, and I lift myself over the broken skulls, sliding over the lip of the ravine, eyes first. I stop breathing so they won't hear my rattle. My family is in the yard. Mom is turning the soil into the vegetable garden with a hoe, weeding. Dad is sitting on the chair of the front porch, fiddling with the inside of a pump motor and some fancy bronzed wrenches. Hector is standing in the middle of the yard, long and lean, chopping wood. He's so tall and skinny, almost as tall as Mom, but with Dad's rippling muscles that glint in the sun. A beautiful boy, almost a young man. A year in charge of my woodpile has done him good. Standing next to him is a girl, almost a young woman, who is almost as tall as he is. Maybe she's a neighbor. Maybe she's a friend. Maybe she is his future betrothed. She bends her arm like a willow and lobs ripe fruit at him on her way to carry an apron full of apricots up to the kitchen. Mom stands up, ready to receive them, now showing her round belly as full as a moon, ready to give me another sibling. I long to run into Mom's arms and lay there, having her pet my head and tell me stories of shopping malls and homecoming dresses. I touch my hair, imagine her fingers. But it isn't long anymore. There's no place for her braids or barrettes. There's no room for me in her lap. I think of Dad running at my stumbling form and killing me like the gray and green zombie that I am, still not knowing who I am. Not recognizing me until it's too late, until I've stained his new wrenches, until I've found my peace. I picture the aproned girl not as a neighbor but as a purchased wife, an early gift to my brother and the farm, an ill-conceived plan to give her a home while she grows up to make babies alongside the new livestock. I picture my unborn sibling jumping on my lap for a story that I can read now, catching my sneeze in her eyes and becoming infected just in time for the cure to reach Nasmith. I could kill them all the way I've killed Swan and Juliet. I think of Kite and how I'd never find fingers that could touch me safely or nicely ever again. If I go to my family, I would have to tell them what I had let happen to Juliet, what had not happened to Juliet. I couldn't forgive myself. Neither would they. I am lost and truly alone. Getting bitten like Imogen hadn't been my answer to escaping life. Sparing Juliet and working for your cure hadn't eliminated horror. Kite hadn't saved me. I hadn't saved her. The girls had each other to take care of, and Jim and the scientists and the artists who saved humans. I have only myself, a malignant abomination waiting to see who I kill next. Maybe it should be me then. I lay down in the stream. I let the water swirl around me, over me, and through me, sinking into the silt of the bottom, holding me firmly, gently. No expectations, no struggles. The water runs into my nose and my throat. The burbling drowns every other noise from my ears. I can't hear the wood chopping or the crabapple sauce simmering. My head awash, my feet still and restful, perfectly still. Stars visible on the backs of my eyelids. The sand cradles my shoulder blades softly. When something tickles my arm, I hope that it is a dream with everything warm and clear and all of my sisters around me. I crack one eye open and moan through the bubbles. It is a fish, a silver pink-bellied fish, swimming away downstream. I sit up, the water not able to wash me away. I can't be with my family, and I can't drown either. I've been freed, released. I have no one to take care of but myself, my own temperature, my own skin, my own path through the woods. That's the next thing. If I want to curl up around my campfire for hours at a time in a ball of woe, I can. If I decide to climb to the top of a tree and recite poetry, I don't have to tie anyone up first, or find food, or raise awareness. I follow the sparkling salmon. Maybe I can forgive while I wander. I can head south where it's warmer and make myself a cabin with a gigantic fireplace. I can build myself a waking dream until I decay. I can figure out how to avoid the cure and learn to make paper by spreading paste over screens. I can mail away orders for pencils and books. I can turn my walls into libraries and send valentines to the girls, the fisherwomen, to Jim in the city. I can prepare reading lessons for my new brother or sister. I can stay far away but send my love and my apologies. When night falls, I plod out of the stream and dry my puffy cheeks. I sneak into the sleepy farmhouse without even a wakeful cat to notice me. I steal their only notebook, their half-empty ink pen, and the last handful of coins that's in their bureau. I sit in the low moonlight of their barn, penning a short letter, also stealing the warmth of their sheep who huddle around me. I fold my words into an envelope, address my promises to my family, kiss it, say goodbye, and drop my piece into a mailbox on my road south. Thank you for joining me for Ophelia Immune. I love stories and story time. Now it's your turn. Give everybody story time. Happy story time.